Good morning and welcome to another live stream going over the cryptocurrencies and looking for the beginning of the bull market, which eventually will come and eventually we'll experience it. If you're new to the channel, click on subscribe and be sure to hit that bell icon so that you're updated whenever I do a live stream. Many times I don't announce it, I just get settled in and turn it on. So to begin with, I had a request to start off with a specific coin. So we're going to take a look at what we've got here pulled up is XMR. There we go. That fits the screen better. It is 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, December the 9th, 2018. Bitcoin is at $3,455. Ethereum is down to $90. Got a couple people tuned in already at this time of the day. So over on the side of the screen here, we can see Bitcoin prices from Bitcoin Wisdom. Then I'd like to give a big thank you to IntroToCryptos for being the stream boss right now. And we've also got along the side here, we can see the significant trades that are going on right now in BitMEX and all of the big markets there. But mostly it's BitMEX because of the leverage trading that actually turns up to be on these alerts. So if Bitcoin starts to moon right now, hopefully we'll see some shorts getting liquidated. If Bitcoin dumps hard, then we'll probably see longs getting liquidated. But over here on the chart, we've got the 3-day view of XMR. So we're looking for some long-term trends here. And so, just look for basic technical patterns. You can really see that it's on the edge right now, that if it were to drop lower than this, it would be pretty nasty. One thing I want to do, is I want to change this to 50 and 200 and see what we see. This is the death cross right here. When you're looking at the 50 period moving average and the 200 period moving average on the 3-day view, many people acknowledge this to be considered to be the death cross. And we had that in Bitcoin a while ago, and we saw what happened right after that death cross. In fact, we go over to Bitcoin and just take a look at that. Well, we're just hitting it now, actually. So it must have been a slightly different moving average that it was showing that death cross for. Back to Poloniex, back to XMR. So another thing that I'll look at when I'm trying to figure out what a market is going to do is I try to put in the parallel channels and see where that is aiming. And so if I take this and stretch it out, then it's not much of a stretch of the imagination for this to be coming down, up, and it doesn't even hit the bottom of the parallel channel in order to come all the way down to 006, all the way down to this support and resistance level here. And the one thing with this market is that it really does bounce well. So when it hits these levels and it gets a charge, it really goes. It really goes. Also, I want to put in the indicator, the on balance volume oscillator by Lazy Bear. And what I like this for is that it shows where the volume is and whether it's positive or negative. And so in the XMR market, let me clean that up, we can see that we have an enormous amount of volume here, very positive. And then all the way down, it's been less and less and less and less. Each time it's been rising, it's been less and less volume. Until the last rise here, it's like you can't even notice it. If I zoom in, it's still the same kind of pattern where we see less and less and a little bit more, but less and less volume. And then on balance, we see negative selling pressure all the way along here. And so it doesn't seem to me that there's going to all of a sudden be some, unless there's some news and a new partnership or something that comes up that's going to make this thing take off. Instead, if it breaks down below these levels, it's going to be sheer panic. There's going to be a lot of people just dumping their coin. They're crossing their fingers and holding their breath right now, I would imagine, at these chart levels. And it wouldn't take much for it to slam down to this, like cut right in half from here, 50% down to the next real level of support and resistance. We have a little bit here and a little bit here, but it isn't until we get down to these levels that we've got good solid support all the way back in history, sort of down to the 004 level almost. So I think it's pretty precarious looking on this chart, but I was saying that back here as well when the prices were coming down. I was saying that, oh, it doesn't look too good, and then it bounced up from there. So we'll see what goes on there, but that's my take on XMR. It's pretty bleak looking. And so what we're doing here is the Poloniex bull market watch. If you've been following along for a while, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. What I've been doing since September is going through all the markets on Poloniex and marking out if they match the simple trading plan. Now let me explain the simple trading plan. I'll go to Ardor and let's zoom into the 1-day view. Actually, it's the 3-day view, I mean the 12-hour bars that this trading plan is based on. So what we're looking for is 3 main criteria. We're looking for the break of the downtrend line. So we have that here. We're looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and this one came up and made a new number 1 point. So now we have a number 1, number 2, and it's coming back to make a number 3 point again here. So there's no trading signal in this. It doesn't give us the 3 criteria that we need for the simple trading plan to work out. We need the break of the downtrend line. We need a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that breaks out and goes higher at the same time that we have the exponential moving averages cross over. And I'll change these back to the 20 and 60 period. And this is what I've been using to find these patterns. And I find that these 3 criteria together help filter out a whole bunch of the fake out breakouts and keeps you out of the market until the markets have actually changed trends and are starting to go the other direction. So right now I can see that this one is not looking like it's giving us a trading signal according to the simple trading plan. We still have to wait. And we could have seen maybe a baby little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation back here in the beginning of September. Prices broke out a bit above it and then they faded back off. And right here on this crossover would be our exit point. If we were to have taken this as a 1, 2, 3 bottom and bought in here on the breakout, then this would be our exit point when those moving averages cross over again. So now we have a new low, a new number 1 point. Prices came up and they've pulled back a little bit. So we don't have enough in this to be putting on another trade. Still time to wait. It is really tempting though to zoom in and to look at the 1, 2, 3 bottom formations like this. So we're looking at the 4-hour bar, 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and it would be a buy here when this moving average crossed and the prices were breaking above those levels. But as we can see many times when you're trading the 4-hour bars, or even worse, the 1-hour bars, and we see this little bottom formation, many times we get the fake out breakout and prices pull back. That makes these 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, it takes off, but then it pulls back, and it makes you get whipsawed a lot. You're jumping in and out of the market way too much. And if we step back, then this is a much better way to be trading in the long term. So if we take this all the way back and look for historical times when the trading signals actually manifested themselves, we can see that even here, as the prices broke out, they came back and retested levels and before they took off again. So even this might be zoomed into the market too much, and it might be better to do the 1-day bars. So then when prices do make a bottom formation and take off, you would get in, then you would get out because it crossed over. You would wait, and then you would get in again here. Even then, prices came back to retest these levels. And then prices, you know, well, once these moving averages cross over, many times you can just sit back and do a whole bunch of nothing and wait for the top formation to come into play for you to take off your trade. So here's another example back here where prices had the bottom formation. They started to break out. The moving averages crossed over. Lots of profit to make and no need to be jumping in and out, in and out, in and out on these things. So it's easy to get zoomed into the 4-hour bars, the worse, the 1-hour bars, or even worse, to get into the 15-minute bars and start making decisions, because the charts don't give you that perspective from this kind of view. It looks like a good formation, but there's so much volatility in the markets and there's so much opportunity for a whipsaw that we often get chewed up on this. And so what I was doing with this bull market watch is to start mapping out that 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, the break of the downtrend, and the moving average crossover, and to track exactly when the trading signal came on, exactly when it turned into a cold fish and said to get out, exactly when the markets were looking like they were going to fail or fail down to new lows, so it gives us a whole new number 1 point. And as time went along, we already know that at the end of October here, prices were looking fantastic. They looked like all the bottom formations were in place. It was looking like the moving averages were crossing over and that the bull market might indeed be starting. But, of course, we know in hindsight now that in the beginning of November, prices started to really fade off. And so now we're in the beginning of December. So middle of November, we had Bitcoin hell day as prices broke out of that big descending wedge triangle. It broke further and broke further again. And so then I started to zoom into those 15-minute bars, the 1-hour bars. And you can see here where we had a trade initiated, we had an alert, and then it popped up and we got into the trade and it crashed back down. We had to get out of the trade. And you see these red bars all over the place where we were, and the blue bars, where we were into the trade and out of the trade, into the trade and out of the trade, and racked up a whole bunch of paper trading losses trying to trade the markets on this, trying to pick the bottom. And it really is a killer for most people's trading, is to get into this close into the market. So in today's edition, on the 9th of December, I'm going to return to looking for the right time frame. So in Ardor, there is nothing. There's no trading signal in Ardor. If we're looking at the 12-hour bars, and we're looking for the exponential moving average crossover and the breakout of the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, then we have a ways to wait in Ardor before it's going to be turning around and giving us something. So let's draw this over. And let's continue on now. I see we've got a few people watching. This is a crazy time of the day, so it's got to be people that are international. Yes, it's a live session. How's it going, Karen? Good to see you here. So say hello in the chat. Let me know where in the world you're from, because it's 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, and not very many people from North America are going to be up to be watching this. But I was going through all the trades and actually working on updating the new alerts package, where I have all sorts of details on Poloniex, all of the coins that are an alert, all of the details on Binance, all of the low cap coins that are alerts, all of the high cap coins, opposite, and all of the coins that are over 50 cents, which ones are showing alerts over on Binance. It's a great study. I'm really having a great time with it. So let me know in the chat, where in the world are you from at this time of the day to be up watching this stuff? And while I see where you're from and where in the world you are located while you're watching this, I do want to say a great big thank you to everybody who's been following along here. I think there's some music in the background there. We've got Twitch followers, we've got YouTube followers. Got to get back to my I still have to update that because when I put that appreciation slide up, then music starts playing and I don't know where it's playing from. There's something I'm linking to there that has, it automatically starts to play. Triangle just happened to be up early. Good to have you here. So let's dig into this now. I want to go through all this and update the spreadsheet, as much for sharing it with you as for my own studies. So basic attention token is already broken out of this bottom formation. We had a buy signal here a long time ago, and then we had the exit signal here as the moving averages crossed over. But now I think this is building up to be taking the next stage in its uptrend. And it's difficult to say because this is didn't pull back that much as Bitcoin did its drop. But it is looking pretty good. It's giving us a little bit higher lows here. We've got a positive on balance volume down at the bottom, but I'm not seeing a really strong RSI divergence. New super chat. Hey, Kieran, thank you very much. That's fantastic. And that just knocked, there you see that coin dropping in there. Awesome. And you just knocked some serious hit points off of IntroToCryptos down there. And soon we'll have a new stream boss. So what's going on in this one? Well, it wouldn't be a buy until it goes above that 1430, 4,300 Satoshi. And as it built up and started to break above that, I would be expecting that it's going to be making an ascending wedge triangle. So if I draw out something as imagination, if it did something like this and then broke higher, that would be a very strong buy signal because of the ascending wedge triangle. So basically, there's nothing in basic attention token as a signal yet either. It's still neutral. And the next one we have in the list is BNT, and there's no trade signal in this one. It's got a ways to go before it's going to give us a trade signal on the 12-hour bars. We've got a lot of selling pressure in this actually. Next we have BTS, and I'm skipping over BCHABC, BCHSV, mostly because they don't have enough history to give a trade signal on this kind of time frame. Let's go into 1 week. They don't even have okay, they may have a month of trading history in here. So we did have a moving average crossover here, but we don't have a trend at all to be looking at, except maybe to say that there's a potential ascending wedge triangle in here. And should it continue on and break out above that, that would be pretty good. BCHABC, nothing going on here. It hasn't broken the downtrend. There's no bottom formation. So there's no trades in either one of those. BitShares. Let's zoom out to the 3-month view. So there's nothing going on here that we can be trading according to the simple trading plan now. It was looking really close earlier, but now we've got a whole new downtrend line here, and it's got to break that. It's got to break that downtrend line first, then it's got to give us the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and then it's got to be have those moving averages cross over. So there's just nothing doing on this one as well. Hey Josh, good to see you. Great to have another Australian along. What are my thoughts on RIF rootstock and its potential to absorb Ethereum? I don't know. Yes, it is a relentless bear market, Mr. Uldal. It is. Eventually it has to end and things will start picking back up again, and that's what I'm watching for. But this is the bull market watch, and we're watching it not be the bull market. So I don't know what RIF and rootstock is. I don't see it as a market anywhere. So BitShares is not looking like anything going. If I zoom into the 1 week view, So we're now looking at the 1 hour bars. Then we can see a little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, a little bit of, it's sort of matching what Bitcoin is doing in the background there. 1 month view, this was actually looking like a potential bottom formation here. And we had this candle wake up and then off it fell. And I actually got drawn into trading on this and had to get out of my position, and down it's going. So not too good there. So Rootstock is a drive chain secured through Bitcoin that allows Bitcoin to do smart contracts. Cool. I think there was a way to do smart contracts on Bitcoin quite a long time ago as well, but it didn't get picked up. It didn't get noticed. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to work out very well, though, parked on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin trading takes so long for a trade to go through. We need something with a much higher throughput of transactions per second, really. If we're going to have a whole bunch of smart contracts working on Bitcoin as well as Bitcoin transactions, I just don't see it myself. I think there's got to be a new technology that's going to be doing better. Faster transactions. So here is actually a trading signal that would have been difficult to trade on this because it didn't give a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It did break the downtrend line, and it wasn't a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, so that one on this time frame didn't work out. On this shorter time frame, even this is a tough 1, 2, 3 bottom formation to have traded. Then over the longer time frame, if we go to the 1 year, now we're looking at something that's a little bit better, because we have actually this is like a double bottom, and then we have this range here, which would be our 1, 2, 3, and this would be our breakout of this level, would be a good buy signal. Let me clean that up. So if I call that a double bottom, which it pretty much is, then we can see that we're having on balance volume picking up. That's pretty good, actually. It would be even better if it was to pull back and then break through that. That would be a good signal to get into Burst Coin. So I'm going to put Burst Coin as our first alert. And now Clam Coin, I don't think it's going to... It really blasted off from this little wee bottom formation. Even though, yeah, it is a bottom formation, it broke the downtrend line. So it broke the downtrend line, the moving average crossed over, and the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation broke out at the same time. And it's, again, it's not a clear 1, 2, 3 bottom, because we have a bit of a lower low here. It's sort of a 3, 2, 1 bottom, and then blasted off. That's a tough one to trade using this system. You would have to be zoomed right in and kind of be lucky on that. So again, if we're zooming out to a longer term view and we're looking the 1 day bars, now we have a position that we've got a number 1 point. This would be our number 2 point. And if prices were to pull back nicely and retest some of these levels and then go higher, that would be another better opportunity to get into this one. So I'm really looking at longer term charts here to get a perspective on the whole trend of everything, and when is the tide going to be coming in, rather than when is the next wave going to be pushing through. So if this was to pull back and then cross over, this would be showing a change in the tide rather than just a quick little pump like this, like a wave coming in and then fading back. And there's lots of those recently, that there's been that, just that anticipation pump as everybody is wanting things to take off, and as soon as there's a tick up, the fear of missing out gets into everybody and they're all jumping into it. There's a lot more money in Bitcoin now too than there was. So I'm anticipating that as we do come up to the next bull market, there's going to be some really crazy spikes in the market. So here's another one that is not giving us the trading signal yet. So if I draw this all the way along to give us our downtrend line, and we're looking at the 12-hour bars, it's coming up to breaking that downtrend line. We have a new number 1 point. It's going to take some time before it's breaking high enough that the moving average will be crossing over, and it's going to be taking off higher out of the bottom formation. Still a ways to go on this. No alert on this one for this type of view. And let me show. Josh shared a link. Rootstock drive chain, because the side change will do 2,000 transactions per second. Hello, Andrew Williams. Good to have you here. Well, that rsk.co might be worth looking into and see how you can invest in it. I don't know what the market is. If I go RSK, I don't get anything in Coinigy to show that to me as a market I can trade. So here we are with Dash now way back down to historical levels. If we pull this back, I remember when these were really big swings and it was looking huge and fantastic to have these markets, to have it move this big. And then, of course, it really took off and held its own for quite a long time, but it's been sliding big time. Like I did at the beginning, we did XMR, it's sliding off big time too. But this one's back to historical support and resistance levels, and that's more strength to be bouncing off these levels. Unfortunately, it's also making, let me get rid of this volume noise. It's also making new lows here. So it as I'm watching for the simple trading plan, the break of the downtrend line, this has a ways to go now before it can break this downtrend line. It's making a new number 1 point, so it's already failed through this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here. Now it's made a new number 1 point, and we have to start watching all over again for this bottom to shape up. So nothing going on here as well, very bearish. And it seems to me that it's going to be sliding deeper down. And that, you know, I have that conspiracy theory that the anonymous coins are going to be restricted. They're going to have the Security and Exchange Commission in the United States say that they are illegal. Viewing from London. It's 11 a.m. in London. Good morning and have a nice, must be tea time there. Another thing I want to point out in many of the coins is we had this massive volume going on back here, and then it's just faded right off to a trickle. So if we zoom in and get rid of that big stuff so that we're into scale here, we're still only seeing very little bits of volume coming in, then mostly selling volume, little bit of buying volume, then mostly selling volume, really big selling volume. So I'm not seeing a turnaround in this market at all. As I was going through all the stuff on Binance, I was seeing a whole bunch of coins that have the opposite to this, where they have a whole bunch of on balance volume buying, and then a little bit of selling, and more buying, a little bit of selling. Some of these new coins are really looking like they're shaping up to take off, and Dash isn't one of them. So let's zoom back and go on to the next one, Decreed. So Decreed is also showing that sort of volume pattern. Let's go to the 1 year view. A little bit better than Dash was, where we can see a big bunch of buying volume, a little bit of selling volume, a big bunch of buying volume, a little bit of selling volume. Then we had some buying volume and then slipped right off to selling volume. And there's no trading signal shaping up in this one for the simple trading plan either. If we're taking this as our downtrend line now, here I have a trend line here. We've got a ways to go before that trend line gets broken. This can extend itself out for quite a ways before it's actually going to break it. So, and it's making a new number 1 point now, a new bottom. Really important when you see this moving average crossover is to get out of the market, and don't override it in your trading system because of the technical levels of the price. This is a good one that earlier I was doing that. I saw the buy signal, it came back like this, it looked like it was holding above these recent support and resistance, and so I just rationalized, don't get out yet, hold on to it a little bit longer, and then down she came more. I eventually had to sell, but got to pay attention to those technical levels. Now it's got some maturing to do. Like many of the other coins, it's not jumping up. There's no good signals so far in these markets. This is one that was disappointing to me. I was seeing that we would have something big coming of this. We had this massive triangle shaping up here, and it appeared to me that it's going to bounce off this bottom and go as high as this triangle is long, but it just faded off. Now we have a potential bottom formation. If I clean that up, and we can draw this as a downtrend line, I can actually pull it through here, and this is our potential 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. And how are we doing for trade volume? Well, pretty much very little all the way through this year. We had a whole bunch back in January, February, or December, January, and then after that it's been very little trade volume all the way along here. So we have some mostly selling, a little bit of buying, mostly selling. Not looking pretty all the way along. So it doesn't appear to me that this is going to be turning around with any authority anytime soon. Dogecoin. It's actually looking not bad. It's got these higher lows all the way along. It made a bottom formation here and has bounced and shown some strength. I don't know how much higher it'll go from these support and resistance levels, but it was pretty good earlier as it came out of these levels. And it seems to be one of the only ones that is doing differently than Bitcoin, where it really soared up here and Bitcoin wasn't doing much of anything. In fact, it was sloughing off a little bit. And then as Bitcoin dropped off more, Doge went up. It seems to be doing opposite of Bitcoin now. And back in early September, when I saw this taking off and I saw everything building up, I thought we were running into a bull market, but definitely was wrong. And let's go on to EOS, because there's no signal here, that's for sure. That's really crashed. We would have to trade a different system than the simple trading plan to access any kind of opportunity in this. So as I'm zooming into the 1 hour bars and we're seeing this consolidation building up here, it is a tiny 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. And if we're doing it on this time frame, we could actually see the break of a downtrend. Depends how you cut it, but it's coming close. Let me get rid of that and use this. So I would say, even at this time frame, it's got a ways to go before it's going to break through that downtrend line, break above this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and have that moving average crossover. And it could just take off from here. This is the kind of consolidation that could mean a little flag upward. But it doesn't match the simple trading plan. Ethereum Classic, I wasn't expecting this to match it either. So let's go back to the 12-hour view. And actually, it could be a closer match. You can see the downtrend line, and where this has come down, it's got a ways to build up before it can break above that as well. And Ethereum as well. It's got this downtrend line. It already broke down this trend through this downtrend line, as many of the cryptos did back in September and October, maybe even a bit before that. But now this has a new downtrend line, and it's faded off from there. It's broken down below these historical lows, so now we have a whole new number 1 point here. So it's got to build up, make a number 1, 2, 3, and then break above this downtrend line while the moving average is crossing. So many markets have faded off, and there's just nothing to do in them except to wait and watch. Here's another exception that as soon as Bitcoin was dropping, this was taking off with an enormous amount of on-balance volume buying. That's the first one actually that we've seen in all of these that has an equivalent on-buying volume as to early 2018. So the more of them that start turning out to have this kind of strong on-balance volume buying, yeah, EOS did look like a bear flag. And zoom into that 1 month view, 1 week view. You can have all sorts of different shapes of a bear flag, but when you have it coming up like this and consolidating in a triangle, it can be either way. It's not really definitive. If, however, it was something like a small yeah, it could be, for sure. It could charge up there like this for a while and then drop like crazy out of it. And so if it were to stay within this channel and do something, it would be likely going straight down from there. So yes, that does look like a bear flag. Could be. Factum really took off, but of course now that it's taken off like that, it's time to be watching for the top formation. So if I go to the 1 month view, the moving averages haven't crossed over on the 4-hour bars yet. So there's still lots of time for this market to continue on its trend. If I go to the 12-hour bar, of course, the moving averages haven't crossed over at all. There's still a lot of room for this market to do some big moves either way and stay within the trade. So if you had bought in onto this bottom formation right here, that was a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, nice break of the downtrend line, the moving averages crossed over, everything lined up really nice, and it took off and just did fantastic. And there would be no need to get out of it until these moving averages crossed over. And it could be a long time. Even if you were conservative and you're waiting for the 4-hour bars moving averages to cross over, then we have this 1, 2, 3 top formation. We have an uptrend line that's pretty clear. And if it was to break this, that would be pretty bearish for to demonstrate the end of the top is here. Very good, but no buy signal. Game on the 3 month view. It is doing a new downtrend line here. And I know that as we go through all of these, there's going to be so many that are, we've got this downtrend line. It's hit a new number 1 point, but they haven't matured enough yet to give us a number 2 and number 3 point, and they break above that to give us a trading signal. Over and over again, we're just seeing the markets are really depressed. They could be at the lowest prices now, the number 1 point, and they could all turn around and go up from here. But it's not giving us any kind of indication that the tide is coming in. In fact, many of the coins that, like I was saying, that we were trading, we were looking in the 1-hour bars and the 4-hour bars and seeing these little small 1, 2, 3 bottoms, but they're turning out to be consolidations, and a continuation on the downtrend is following up after that. So we're getting these excited pumps, and then prices just slide right off. GNT is another example of that, where there was the little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It really pumped, and it was looking great, as a buy signal above these levels. But you have to be really prepared so that you are getting out of these trades as soon as it's not proving you correct. As soon as unless it's proving you correct, you got to get out of that trade when they're doing these things. Other than that, if we step out to the 1-day bars, then there's lots of time to wait for this. We've got a nice, pretty solid looking bottom here, 1, 2, 3 times off that bottom. And should it come and break out of this range and give it the time to break out of this range, then we're likely to see some much higher prices. Could be very much higher, but there's nothing to do until it's breaking out of this range. Other than that, you're going to get whipsawed back in and out, in and out. Hunter coin, I'm certain it's much the same. We've got this downtrend line and nothing doing. It's not really making a good enough bottom formation to pick anything up out of that. KNC, it's also down to some crazy lows. The moving averages are nowhere near crossing over. Even if I go into the 3-month view, so we're looking at the 12-hour bars, we do have like a double bottom here almost. And here's another example that I'm certain I was pointing out earlier. 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here. Prices broke up, looked really good. They were really surging, and then they faded back and faded down even further. So this is the fake out breakout, and this is one of the biggest risks of trading the 1, 2, 3 bottom formations, especially in the small time frames, is that you're going to get nailed over and over again with these things. People are calling random bottoms now, just like 100K and 1 million BTC was called for at 1 million. Opposite feeling to last year. Yeah, opposite feeling to last year. There's some shorts getting liquidated, so Bitcoin has made a little surge. Crazy to see. I don't like to see anybody getting liquidated. That's expensive, shorts or long. But if there's going to be liquidations, I'd prefer them to be shorts because, well, look at that. 1.3 million, $400,000 short liquidated. Another $1.3 million short liquidated. Oh, look at Bitcoin just made a nice jump up there. We'll see a bunch more liquidations come through here now over on the side. So the news at the very bottom of a market is always super bearish. Everybody's saying it's going to go down to the ground. It's going to go to zero. And that's the kind of the news sentiment that you got to be ready for these bottoms on. But at the same time, I don't want to be trying to pick the bottom. I want to wait for the bottom to come in and turn around and start to, yeah, short liquidations. It's so sexy. And I want to see it start to move the other direction before I'm really putting the power on. So over and over again, we can see that we're still not far enough along in this bottom. When we look in the 4-hour bars, there really is opportunity. This really could be the bottom. There's a nice capitulation low. You see all these buying candles to the upside. It could be. But I find in my own experience that as I do these studies and I really study that closely, and I'm really digging into see how this stuff works. Let's pull this study down and go to Poloniex closed. So here are some trades that were just paper trades, checking things out. We can see down 6%, down 5%, down 10, 7, 5, 9, 4, 8, 5. All of these coins, if I go and open up the chart, we can see over and over again the same type of fail where it was a bottom formation, it looked good but had the buy signal written up, and then prices came down to hit the stop loss over and over again because it looked like a bottom formation. It really looked great, but it wasn't on the 12-hour bars. It was on the 4-hour bars, and things they look great on the 4-hour bar, but then they are not great. Here's another couple. Storage coin, which I was a big fan of. 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It broke out higher, nice candle up, and then faded way back. So the more you stay in the 12-hour bar range, the less of these that keep nailing you. So here's another one where we had the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. We put the buy order, just a paper trading buy order to study these things above the market. And then we put our stop loss in below the number 3 point so that we'd be protected. It candled us in just a wick to get us into the trade and then faded right back. And then prices take off afterwards. So it's important to be stepping back to a longer term view for many of these cryptos. Be more patient with it and you'll actually make more money in the long term and have less frustration. On to Loom. Where can you find this Bittrex liquidation feed? Let me pull it up for you. And I'll share it. I'll put it into the chat. And if you're liking this video and this information, give the thumbs up. I appreciate that. It helps the channel for sure. So there's the liquidation feed. Another thing that I should be doing is to put this risk disclaimer up here that I'm not a financial advisor. These are hypothetical performance results and do not represent actual trading. It's just a study. It's an educational detail. So while addressing financial matters in any of my books, my courses, my videos, my newsletters, I make sure that it really accurately represents my strategies. I talk about what's good and what's bad, but nothing in our trading products can guarantee you any earnings. If you want to follow along this spreadsheet, let me put this link into the chat. And if you want to join us on Discord and our community that stays there, always talking about cryptos, you can join our Discord chat as well. So what are we looking at here? Loom. Too short of time frame to really get a good perspective on it, but at least it's making 3 times off this bottom and a little consolidation here. Even in the 12-hour view, this is a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation that's looking not bad. Let's go on to Lisk. So Lisk actually has long enough downtrend here, but it's not. And we see a lot of on balance selling. No accumulation buying going on in this. If I go to the 1 year view, we are right down to old historical levels. We're below some of these lows from September of 2017, December 2017, pumped up to January, then down, and it's even lower than those lows. And there's no real buying volume coming in. The only thing that I see that's at all positive is that we've got an RSI divergence and a little bit less on balance volume selling while the prices are flat at this level. So then if we do zoom in, it could be that a break above this range angle would be a good trade, so long as you are ready to get out of it if it does a candle wick up and then pulls back. So this is a trick. But it's not given the moving average crossover. It's not giving a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. So there's still a lot of time to wait for many of these cryptos. It's just right at the very bottom of the bear market if we are going to be turning around from here. Litecoin still lower lows here. We've got a descending parallel channels that if it starts to break out of this would be really good. Because we have the downtrend line. We can see that it's at historical low levels. And if it were to start breaking out of this descending parallel channel, this would be good because it would give us a clear bottom formation. If it was to come up and then start breaking higher out of this channel, that would be positive. Just extend that along to see where it could be positive, and if it's breaking down below that, that's bad. And we've got another leg down in the whole crypto sphere. MadeSafe coin. This is the coin that I love the most, and I probably lost the most money on because I love it the most, and I held against my own trading system because I really believed in the project. And of course I was too early for the big money. But eventually, this one will come in. It's got a great range of support and resistance levels right along here. So at this time frame in the 1 day view, we do have the moving average crossover. We have a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. A break above those levels would be very good. If we go into the 3-month view so that we have the 12-hour bars, we already have the break of the downtrend line here. We have the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. So it's the same, pretty much the same prognosis there, that a break above this level would be very good. And it would be even better if it was to take its time and do an ascending wedge triangle and tighten up this way and then break higher. That would be a much better signal. And of course that's going to take time for that to happen. It'll be months before this turns into a good signal if it matures properly. So many coins that are Here's one mana that is taking off because they're doing a, this is fundamental analysis. They're doing a sale of land inside Decentraland, and they're partnering with Binance for a contest right now too. So I expect this will pump, but then I don't expect it to stay there. And there's no way to short this market. So now that it's started the move, it's time to step back. I wouldn't be jumping in. You don't know when it's coming down. But we did have a bottom formation, and we called a buy signal back here. So that's good to note. Navcoin, we had a nice 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. We bought in here. It was looking like it was going to go higher with an add-on to the trade here, but then it failed back. Now we're coming back to where it's made a new bottom. This would be our new number 1 point, and we'd be watching from here on in to see what goes on and have to wait for this moving average to cross over. So another market that's just not jumping up and going anywhere. Namecoin. Wow. Of all the unexpected coins, it actually is showing break of the downtrend line, a little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. The moving averages have crossed over, so this was a legit sell or a legitimate buy order all the way along. Strangely enough. So if I go back here and put Namecoin, wow, I skipped over a whole bunch. I haven't come back and updated it. There's just nothing to put in. Go to Namecoin. This is actually a buy signal just to mark it in. NXT. Same thing. Downtrend line, no bottom formation. Moving average hasn't crossed over. So it's pretty quick. When you use this kind of trading system, you can look at the markets in minutes and see, okay, nothing going on, nothing going on. It's coming close, but nothing going on. Another one, nothing going on, although this one has the potential to have broken the downtrend line. So now we're inside this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and we have to wait for the moving average to cross over and prices to break above these levels for it to be a buy signal. So that one may classify as an alert, and I would change this to a yellow color to let me know that we marked it as an alert on this day. Pascal coin. Alright, so this one's actually giving us a better signal than most. It's hard to say where the downtrend line is in it, but certainly it's broken a downtrend line. Now we have a series of higher lows and a kind of a flat top here. So that gives us our ascending wedge triangle on this time frame, and a break above these 1111 basically would be a good entry. But it's not an alert yet. It hasn't come up close enough to be threatening that. It's still just a watch type of situation, but it looks better than most of them we've looked at so far. PPC also has broken that downtrend line. It's got a 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. Break above this level would be an add-on. A break above this level, I would say, would also be a buy signal. It's got higher lows going on here. That's pretty good. Not very many markets are looking good like that. And it's got some on-balance volume buying on this spike too. But still, not an alert. It would have to be showing strength up against these levels at least for it to become an alert. Nothing going on here for a buy signal. Even if we zoom into the 1 week view, now we're starting to see something on the 1 week. If we're looking at the 15-minute bars, it does look like we've got 3 times off the bottom. It's got a clear range here. And if you have good risk control rules, it might be a potential buy above those levels. And only hold it if it proves you correct. If it doesn't prove you correct, then you've got to get out of it. What are we looking at here? Quantum. Rep. Rep was looking so good earlier, but not now. It's faded right back to these levels. You know, we've got to stand back on this one and just watch it. And it was through this period here where we had this channel, and then it started to show some strength. It was looking what was that? The very end of October, like many other things, they were making these little bit of a takeoff, and down it's come. Whole new bottom formation we got to wait for. It's got a whole new downtrend line that's got to break. You know, it broke this one, but now it's got another one to break. So nothing going on here. And over again, we can go through these markets and just quickly see that there's nothing going on yet. We can see that this was a break of the downtrend line, but now we have a new trend line. It's shallower, that's good, but we still have a lot of maturity to come on. This is not looking good. The one thing that's good here is that the RSI is quite divergent from those two bottoms. So if we do have a few of those markets coming up and showing us those kind of RSI divergences. SNT, nothing going on here. Steam, you guessed it, nothing going on here. Storage, actually it's got 3 times off this bottom, and it gives us a very clear place where that 1, 2, 3 bottom formation will have been acknowledged or proven out. It has broken that downtrend line, so it's I like this chart, especially if it breaks above these levels, and especially considering I like this project in that it's going to have a very good revenue stream. Starting out in early 2019, they'll be releasing version 3 of their storage network, something like Amazon Cloud and Google Cloud, but at a cheaper price, distributed so that you can stick your hard drives onto their system and rent out your hard drives. So you can become a miniature landlord. Instead of having to buy a house to rent out, you can buy a hard drive and rent it out. Here's another one that I was anticipating some massive moves from that have not materialized yet. I saw this huge triangle and it seemed to me that, especially in mid-October when things were all perking up, I thought this was going to go from where it is here at 3,600 to over 9,000, and then faded right back. As soon as it hit these support and resistance levels, then it got cold feet and faded off. Zoom into the 1 month view, zoom into the 1 week view. Is it giving us any kind of bottom formation that maybe this will turn around from here? No, it's not. And it could be though. You know, it's good technical levels, but it's not shaped up enough yet for anything. You know, there's no downtrend line break, there's no bottom formation, there's no moving average crossover. So it's a real step back from that market, and just watch. This one is much better. Now we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. We do have the break of the downtrend line, even still here. Double top here would be a good place to count it as our entry point as it's taking off above there. The 1 year view, we can see that if we wait until that entry point, it's still a very low price. And we're probably going to have less chance of getting whipsawed if we wait till that level and let the market build, let everybody else take those risks, and actually put the building into the market so that everything is changing directions. Right now, it is not at all the beginning of the bull market. We just do not have enough of these markets all turning around and crossing over at the same time. And if you go back to study the past history trades, in all of the bull markets, we could see here in the end of March 2017, all of the markets, all of the cryptocurrencies made a bottom formation here, and they all took off at the same time. And then they all came down to December, and in November they were making these bottoms, and then early December they crashed super hard, and then they all took off. And then moving averages and everything all crossed over at much the same time. So I'm anticipating much the same thing to happen now, is that when they start to cross over, they're all going to cross over en masse. They're all going to start going with it. So that's this coin. Let's go into Viacoin. Same thing, nothing to look at here. So we have these lower lows. It has to build its own bottom formation, have the moving averages cross over. There's a lot of time and work to go on here. And we may as well just be busy with other things and let the market do the time. Counterparty, actually one of the better looking charts where we've got higher lows, ascending range, which sometimes is a bear continuation flag. If it drops down below out of that, it's probably going to soar down more. And where could it go? It's got no place to go but up from there. But of course, it's still 71,000 Satoshi. It's got lots of room. It can go down. XEM, this is a light, and all of these, this is like one of the first that's actually showing a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation and showing strength and going up. The moving average has crossed over. It's getting further apart as it moves along. It's one of the few markets that's actually looking really good. XEM, still, I'll mark this as green here too, even though we've changed. XMR we did right at the very beginning. And my conclusion was that XMR is failing off pretty nasty. We see a lot of on-balance selling. The RSI is not showing any divergence as it's coming down to these historical support and resistance levels. In fact, it's feeling to me like it's about to just let go and fall. Primecoin, this was actually almost comical throughout the months as we were studying everything else. This was just in a super tight downtrend. Now it's come to the end of that downtrend and it's giving a potential bottom formation. So it's still a ways away. The bottom formation's got to mature. Those moving averages have to cross over. And we're looking at the 1-day view there. So in the 12-hour bars, it still needs more time to mature and to take off. But that it's coming out of this parallel channel and making a bottom formation is pretty good. Ripple. Ripple was a buy back here, and then we added onto it here. But I don't know where it's going to go from this point. It could easily go up. It could go down. There's no real strong notion in it to me right now, and it's got a lot of ways it can go down. And well, we've seen negative and positive on balance volume. We've seen these candlesticks to the downside, but it's also holding its own. 3-month view. Overall, we see a positive on balance volume and then negative on balance volume here. It's not showing a divergence in the RSI from the prices, so there's no real indicator on this one of what it's going to be doing yet. Zcash, another one of those anonymous coins that I think are going to be regulated, and if it is regulated, an SEC in the world, G20 organizations that are looking for cryptocurrency regulations, if they make these restricted, they're going to plummet all of the privacy coins. Now we're down to ZRX. It's actually got higher lows, and I think this is a similar project, though, you know, everything's a little bit different, to what storage is. In that it's to be an, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's to be an online file storage system, you know, a decentralized file storage system. And I like this chart formation actually, but on the 12-hour bars, it is making a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It has broken the downtrend line, but the moving averages haven't crossed over. It'll have to break above these levels to give a buy signal. And then we'll see what goes on over time. So the Poloniex bull market watch will continue, but it's going to take a while. Well, just had a note come up on our Telegram from somebody who is not listed as online, talking about a virus on Telegram. and it doesn't look harmful to do. Go to Telegram, click on settings, click on data and storage, turn off auto download media. There's a cybersecurity guy who it bypasses your two-factor authentication by pulling the info from your phone, searches your saved passwords, makes APIs for all your exchanges that your phone is linked to. Okay, I don't have Telegram on my phone, but who knows? Doesn't sound nasty. So normally I'm pretty quick to just block spammers who put stuff up like that, but that doesn't look like it's manipulative at all. I don't know. Anyway, there's a bull market watch for Poloniex, and really not a lot of great news, not a lot of great content, certainly no trading signals, almost no trading signals here yet, using my simple trading plan. And so it'll be a couple days, and then I'll do another one of these. Unless there's some big change in prices somewhere, then I'll come back on and see how things are relating against that. But for now, I'll sign off on this one, and I'll have a different training video coming up soon that will be more instructional rather than just scanning all of the charts. So if you haven't seen already, there's a really good one on the Ichimoku cloud. There's a good one on the RSI divergence, and another good one on the using parallel channels in your trading. Those are some of the instructional videos that I recently put out, different than these market scanning videos. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully this is helpful to you. Cheers for now. Best of luck in all of your cryptocurrency trading, and have a great weekend.